Okay, so welcome back. I haven't made any videos this week, so I've been really busy with all the existential stuff, which is designed to keep us busy so we can't focus on all of this more essential stuff, not important, which is important, but essential, which is of the essence. And today I wanted to talk about figuring things out. And this is one of the biggest traps that has been put here for us, if you wish, however it was put here, that you can't actually figure anything out. In the end, by accumulating more intellectual knowledge, more theories, more philosophies, more information, all this stuff really only clogs up the system. And that's why figuring it out really literally means what it is. It's a figure out. Like your figure is a shape or a form, and out is obviously outside, which is this existential projection. And so we can't figure the whole thing out. And what a lot of people do, and that is, I think, for myself and for many people, I also include myself when I speak in these things, but a lot of people have the tendency to stick around or stick to this capacity of intellectual materialism, and therefore when we gather more thoughts and more beliefs, more theories, more YouTube videos, more stories about all kinds of things, that we kind of like one day we'll figure out what the whole thing is about and who I am and what I'm doing here. And that's actually a trap itself. So to try to figure out, you're trying to find forms, enough forms, whether they're thought forms or belief structures, they're all forms, right? Conceptual, what they call structures, right? Belief structures, conceptual structures, thought forms, they're all form, they're all figures. You know, a figure is a form. And whether it's a subtle form like thought or emotion or sensation even, they're still forms, they're figures. And they're still outside of, let's say, perceived by the intelligence that I am. And so you can never figure this out. This is the maze, this is the labyrinth, this is the elaborate trick system that basically means whatever we do, we stick to this faculty of thinking, of imaging, of constructing, of basically using deduction instead of induction. We're using the deductive process where we're saying, oh, well, if this piece goes here and this piece goes here, and now I've figured out another piece, and then we figure out something else, and that makes the whole picture screwed up again, because if there's no outer space, like the way we've been presented, then there's only this or that, and then we all get confused, and we try to kind of figure out the entire thing by doing a puzzle, putting all the pieces together, which is deduction, and then trying to grasp the whole by only having a partial picture, by figuring things out. And so really what we have to go beyond that, right? Because there's no way to figure anything out here. You know, it's just endless labyrinth. More pockets, more lost, more dead ends, more, cul-de-sacs to get trapped in. That's what we do. So I wanted to give an example of that, really. The way to get out really is not at all to keep figuring things out, because movement only creates more movement, right? So I wanted to use an example of what they use in, I think, Buddhism or something. They use this example of stirring up muddy water. So they say, well, basically if you stir up a glass with some mud in it, then it becomes all cloudy. But if you leave that glass to stand for a while, then all of the sediment starts dropping down again, and the water eventually becomes really clear at the top, and then you see a little layer of mud at the bottom. Well, imagine that we've been dropped off in such a big tank, like a huge swimming pool, not very deep, let's say 6 feet deep or something, and it's full of water, but it's huge. It's like a square acre or something like that, you know? And you wake up in this system, and at the bottom of this 6 foot deep pool, there is this mud, this sediment, which is all the objective figures, all the thoughts, all the belief systems, all the worldly systems, all the concepts, all the religions, all the scientific dogmas, all the nonsense that is possible. Basically a shitload of mud all over the pool of this giant swimming pool. But the top of the pool is completely closed. And there's only one hole, like an ice, when they make a hole in the ice, right? There's only one hole you can get out. And we basically, as babies, say, wake up into this system, and the moment you start swimming to find the exit, you're stirring up all the mud. Because, and they basically give you this tool of the mind, which is like this, you know, the underwater scooter that scuba divers have that drag them along faster with a propeller in it. And then you got the fins on, the flippers, so that when you swim as a scuba diver, you can go faster. Well, basically, we're dropped off in this weird existence as a baby in form, in figures, and we're left trying to figuring it out. But the moment you start swimming or moving, you cause more stuff to be stirred up. This is what figuring out really does. This mental faculty of deductive logic, this thinking intellectual, sorting out, figuring things out, working things out, thinking, picturing, imaging, constructing, then deconstructing, then adding and subtracting, then new information comes in. This is like this frantic movement, which really is only stirring up this pool. And if we want to find the exit of the pool, consisting of only one hole, just enough for your shoulders to fit through, then you would have to be so still and silent in this empty void of this pool that all the sediment can come to rest. All the turmoil, all the muck, all the movement, all the clutter and clamor has to actually come to rest and settle down. So the idea really is to find or really figure it out, which means that you get out of the system, is there's only really one way, although their deductive faculty comes in place in different phases, has its value. I'm not saying that all these puzzling games have a value. Everything has its own value and it's necessary to a certain point. But eventually the highest medicine that we need is this stillness. Because once you stop swimming, once you stop using the scooter, once we stop, mucking up, causing all this turbulence and this muck and clutter and clamor to be stirred up and clouding up the entire place. Because if you sit still, you would see all these particles, all these thoughts, all these movements. They're all distraction. And you can't see where the hole in the covered pool is to get back into the light. So we have to remain still and silent. And in this still and silence, all the particles, all the figures, all the objects, all the thoughts, all the beliefs, and all the movement can come to rest. And as it settles back down, the water starts to get clearer. And we can swim towards the exit, which is our true being of light. Because there's so many levels of distraction that can simply not be figured out. And this is basically the question. So I wrote all that down here a little bit, some of the things. But it basically is this, we have to stop focusing constantly on this deductive, low-level computing system, which uses this very slow mind. I mean, here I'm talking about the thinking mind, right? This capacity to work things out in a very, very slow way. And we have to leave that slow level behind and allow all of that to drop away in true meditation, right? In real meditation, not this 95% of all these nonsense meditations that we got these days, which are more ego entertainment. And they all have a purpose as well at some point, but the point is, most of them are not really meditating. Meditation is just this process. Stop flippering around, stop swinging your arms and swimming and stirring up all the muck, and allowing this endless field of intellectual materialization, thoughts and conceptualization to just come to rest, and so that the next field of clarity can take over. So you can't figure this out because all figures are out. So we can't figure anything out. It's just endless turmoil.